terms of this, like, well, let's go back to what engenders all this. Best possible result for this conversation. You know, what conclusions can we come up with? It just does. This isn't like you should have done this,
right.
but as an alternative, if that approach isn't getting traction, like it's just not quite in getting you the info that you want or you think is useful, the other sort of 1-2 approach, the 2-step, is. And with this, it's not like a goal, it's more like the resolution of an issue, right? It's not like I have a goal to get an A on the paper. It's more like I want to resolve this sort of overwhelm or too much stuff, right? So what's a successful outcome look like? And you can, play with the language because that might be a little too formal. But literally it would be something like, Carlene, if this, you're talking about writing this and a lot of research, if this went really, really smoothly, like you got it in early, you got a great grade on it, and you felt good about it, what would that look like? What might be happening? And the minute you do that, you'll get into some aspects, like it may turn out he just needs to get on it and wants to get it finished early or something, but it also there may be other stuff. But that encourages somebody's, I guess, sort of creative, forward-looking mind out a little bit. And it will keep him more to what are we doing rather than going over everything that he already knows.
Right.
Which I mean, is not going to be that interesting for you as a coach or him. I mean, it might actually help him, and he ultimately could just come down to, I just need to talk this out so it's clear in my head.
Right.
But what's a successful outcome? And that's going to be some version of what would it look like, and or what would it feel like. Usually people sort of talk in either externals or internals on that question. And the second question is, what's the next thing to do? Like, and I don't know what, like, can you know him to some, do you have an idea like what would be a really successful outcome for this paper for him?
Well, I guess that's the hard part, or the part I'm confused about, that I think would confuse Matt maybe, is if you say like, okay, so you finish this and you get it turned in early and you get a really good grade, what would that look like? I'm afraid his answer would be, I would turn it in early and I would have an A.
Oh, okay. I'm not saying you prompt him on one of those things.
Okay.
I would.
Okay. So you're saying.
Well, give me an issue that like you haven't done, like that you need to go do, taxes, whatever.
I've done my taxes.
Of course you have.
What have I done? Or what have I not done? I have not made hotel reservations that I need to make.
Okay. For what?
For various weddings that I need to go to.
Okay. So, well, and is it just a matter of following through?
It's just a matter of, calling. Or remembering the paper that has the hotels that I call.
Okay, so, all right. Well,
it's not very complex.
No, I know.
It's just I haven't done it.
No, that's good. Then we'll just do it as a little, I don't know, coach exercise. So since this isn't something you're just up and want to do, like go have lunch, what would, I mean, if you got this done and it was, I don't know, if it was just done, what would that look like?
Well, it would look like one less thing on my to-do list, and like I wouldn't have to think about September for a long time, basically.
So, and if you had one less thing and you didn't have to think about this, how is that, I don't know, useful?
Well, I have a lot of things on my to-do list, so it's really useful to have one of them off. And I really like crossing things off. And this is probably the bigger one, is that I usually get a lot more things done once I get one thing done.
Oh, so this is sort of push this forward, I can forget about it for 4 months, and it will engender more. Like,
I prove prove to myself that it took 3 minutes, and thus,
Right.
like, all the other things could probably get done if I spend 20.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And what is the next, like, visible act? Like, if we followed you with this camera and we saw you doing this, what would you do next?
I would dial a number on the phone and call them.
You have the number on the phone?
We'll dial the number for the hotel.
And where is that number?
I actually brought it with me today.
So you have the, like...
So I started it, yes.
Oh,
I do
okay.
have it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I haven't done it yet. So.
And what would you need... How long will this take?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Probably. That's my guess.
So are you
I can
holding
do
on
it
to
when
this?
I, like, go back to my
Are you holding
desk.
on to this 3 minutes for...
I have no idea what... I don't know. It's not like I've been even trying to put it off. It just hasn't come up as, like, a thing that I need to do. So, but I brought it today, so I'll do it when I get back to it.
Hasn't come up until now.
No, it hasn't.
Okay. All right. Let's just stop there. So I mean, that's as straightforward a task as you can get. You even have the info. But what I noticed as you were talking to me, there's this sense of, like, a kind of prove to myself follow through value that sort of is wanting to get expressed. And there's this also, like, you know, you said the bigger thing is that if I do this, I can sort of get going on some stuff. And plus the downside of not actually reserving the room could be kind of
expensive.
Yeah. So that's where, I mean, how would that, I mean, how would you imagine that question would land with him?
I think I would still probably change the language, but it's funny to look at this because this is what I've been trying to do. This is what we talked about in the last debrief, right? Is like try and talk about, like, where do you want to get by the end of this conversation? Hearing that I asked that to Matt, who has a more complex personality, I think, in a lot of ways, and a different way of understanding things sometimes, I'm surprised that I asked him that question. So I'm not surprised that it didn't go, like, right into the appropriate answer.
Sure.
So I think that question, what would a successful outcome look like? Actually, yeah, I think if we had not walked through all of the pieces of the, you know, what was going to get done, I think that one of the reasons he was talking about it so much is that I think he's actually excited to write it because he feels like he knows what he's going to say.
Yeah.
And so I think that that would have been a really good question because that might have been articulated probably in a more successful way. I don't know, I shouldn't try and guess the outcome of what that would be, but I think that yes. So what would I ask him? I think I would say yeah, I really don't know because I think in that situation I get nervous that the answer would be I'd be done with my paper. Well, and I guess then I would say, well, what would that feel like?
Yeah.
What would you be able to do next?
Well, here, you do it. You be him for a second.
Okay.
So, Caroline. So let's say you're done. You're finished and done, and you're looking back on it. What if it went really well? What would have happened?
I would have found all the information I needed for
Found
my research.
everything you needed.
I would have successfully executed what I intended to before I did the research. So, you know, I had these ideas about this character, and I would have successfully executed those. It would have been fun to write, and I would get a good grade on it.
Yeah. Well, that sounds
or I'd
good.
feel proud of it. So
You'd feel proud of it?
Yeah.
Okay. That seems worthwhile. So what, right now, I mean, as your coach, I can see several different ways we might sort of plan this out. Because right now, as I hear you talk about it, it sounds like kind of big. And my job is to get it down to like something bite-sized you can go, right, get it now. What, should we figure out an order in which to do things, or do you want to just sort of divide this up into pieces, or do you want to define what, we could even just define what writing a fun paper would look like, or what do you think?
Should I answer?
Yeah.
Okay.